technology. And I wanted to start by acknowledging the history that's come before me. Had a really interesting and really rewarding year this year, where I'm wearing lots of different hats here in the business school. So I'm Director of Learning and Teaching, Director of First Year Studies, I'm Deputy Head of the Department of Marketing, and I'm doing my own teaching. So it's a really neat mix of things. But before I was asked to take up this role this year, there was Susan and a long-standing team of wonderful people in the Innovative Learning team. And for many years, they've been running things like this, Learn, Do, Share, the Teaching Forum. They've been offering all sorts of student-facing support, academic skills tutorials and academic skills support for students, an online learning hub of support for students, learning design support for staff, GTA training and staff inductions, peer review of teaching processes. I could go on and on. So this is an exciting unit that I joined. When I took it over, though, at the start of the year, I knew I was doing this at a time of uncertainty. The university has long been promising a review of how it supports learning and teaching across all faculties, and that's put us into somewhat of a holding pattern. One of my first tasks at the start of the year was to prioritize what can we best continue to do with a staff total that was less than we had at the start of the previous year. And that's been quite rewarding as well, because I think we've been able to maintain things, including this, which was one of our real priorities, to keep these forums for sharing, because they're really neat. They attract staff from the business school and they attract people from across the university. So really pleased. I'm also pleased that we're doing it in this room. This is an experiment to do it in the Decima Glen room rather than a lecture theater. It's created a few challenges, but I think opportunities as well. It's nice to be able to have the catering in a room. It's nice to be able to have round tables where you can interact a bit more. So we'll be wondering what your feedback is on this venue as we move on. On Slido, we asked for questions in advance. One of the questions was for an update on the university's review of learning and teaching. And it's not my role to really update that, but I can inform you on where this has been. The Vice Chancellor, Stuart, announced in late May, finally, it had been promised for a long time, that there was going to be a more formal stage of reviewing this. He agreed that the university needs to develop, these are his words, the university needs to develop a learning design service that is available to all faculties, is suitably resourced, and directed in alignment with our strategic priorities. So it's a nice vision. But of course it has implications for faculties who have invested in teaching and learning. So there's 3 such faculties, medicine, education, and business, that have put a lot of resources into supporting teaching and learning in different ways. Obviously there's wonderful implications for faculties that haven't invested as much, because now the university is going to invest, and that's great. And then of course it's not just faculties, the library, CLEAR, all sorts of people have an interest in how we support learning and teaching. I've been on the steering committee working on this since that announcement went out in May, and all I can really say is that progress is going on. I'm finally sensing some movement, and I'm finally getting a clearer sense of what will be. And what will be is there will be some sort of a centralized learning design service open to all faculties. Now that's interesting. I've been at this university for long enough, 24 years now, to realize that restructures and reviews come and go all the time. And there's always things that you look at and you think are positive or negative and so on. I think the vision for this new service is really, really positive. I think it'll be a good thing. But of course, it's going to impact on services provided by faculties. In our case, of course, we do a lot that's not just staff-facing learning design, which is what this new unit will do. We provide lots of other staff-facing services that really aren't learning design. And our unit was really founded on student-facing academic skills support. Way back in about 2001, we established the LANCOM, Language and Communication Support Service for our students. So it's going to be an interesting year ahead as the university starts moving with some certainty, and as all the different faculties and services react to that. That's about all the update I can give you on that. Now, I was at Courses and Careers Day yesterday, Saturday, not yesterday, talking to potential students. It was a great day. Fewer people hanging around, I think, because of the measles scare. So the actual sessions were quite full, but there were less people just milling around. So they kind of came in, watched a session, and went out. But it was a really rewarding morning. But I stuck this slide up at the start of my talk, which was about your first year at the business school. And I just put it up because it's the business school's new vision we adopted last year. And the vision of the business school is just two words: shaping futures. And I just think it's such a positive vision. Again, we've been through lots of mission statements and visions over the years, but this is a neat one, and I think it captures what all of us do. And I think we are here to shape the futures of our students, obviously our own careers and our own research and everything else that goes from that. The business school is here to shape the future of New Zealand business through interactions and research, to influence the government. It's a really nice slogan, but the reason I also really like it is it's a co-created thing. We support students, but they need to be engaged to ask for the support, and everything is shaping futures in a collaborative way. So I quite like that slogan. Just wanted to stick it up because you'll see these posters all over the place. And three things I want to point out. Sylvania tells me I'm down to about 2 minutes, so I'm not going to, well, maybe I will really quickly bring these up. But these are just examples of ways the business school supports teaching and learning using technology. And they don't have to be high tech, they're relatively simple things. One of the questions that just came up on Slido now was, are there going to be any online resources to support the new assessment policy? The answer to that is yes. For business school staff, all you have to do is go into Link, the business school staff intranet, click on Learning and Teaching, you come to the Innovative Learning and Teaching page, and there's a tab here now, Assessment Policy, which you can click there, or you can go up in the sidebar here and click it. And it takes you to a page that is still emerging. It's relatively low tech, quick videos that are designed for our staff just to highlight key aspects of the policy, and then a few resources related to each one. That's what we're doing. We've rolled out 3 of these videos now. After the break, there'll be a couple more. We're holding staff forums, so live sessions where people can come in and discuss and debate. And so far, it's been going really well. I think we're learning as much from the staff forums, as the people who are attending are, because it raises all the questions and we can see where the concerns are. So some useful resources through here. For staff who aren't in our faculty, we have a blog called The Learning Exchange, so learningexchange.ac.nz. And again, we're recreating assessment policy links here for those who would like to, who don't have access to our intranet, but would like to click and watch those videos. Of course, the university also has central resources. There's a wonderful page on the assessment policy. Click this link. I wonder if I should do it now. Let's see. Yep, yeah. Takes you straight to the Assessment 2020 page for staff and students, because we can't avoid actually reading the full policy. We can look at checklists and guides, but ultimately we do have to engage with the full policy, which is some 40-some pages long. This is where you go for that. But also you get the vision. And this policy is so student-centric, it's so positive. And ultimately it comes down to the way we communicate to students about what we expect them to do, why we're asking them to do things, how we're gonna mark these things that many of us have been doing really well for a long time, but we have to up the game across the entire university. So that's one other link. And the last one I wanted to point you towards is something that's been around for a long, long time, which is our Learning Hub, directed at students. This is open access to anybody as well, learninghub.ac.nz, with all sorts of support about study skills for students, links to especially the first year courses where they can find more tailored links. And it's something that Susan and the team for many years have put a huge amount of time and effort into, and something again that we want to try to retain. This is an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's student facing, it's not staff facing, so it technically doesn't come under the sphere of the new learning design service. But it does come under, we had a restructure of the library last year, and they're also providing online support services for students. All of these things are going to have to be looked at as to where they are best hosted and how they evolve in the future. I'm going to stop because I'm talking too long, and we'll...
Still have a few minutes?
I still... Oh, no, you said time up, see?
Do you have a few minutes for the Q&A? Because the next session starts at 9:35, if I'm not. I think it's still 5 minutes.
How do I get back to those questions then? I've lost them now. Oops, sorry.
I can handle that.
Yeah. Well, is there anything anybody wanted to ask out loud? And then we'll just have a quick skim through anything that's come up on Slido.
I think we've got many questions, maybe the ones with the votes, votes popular to...
That's interesting. So this might be a link from the Learning Exchange, I'm not too sure. So we've had some issues with links that resolve to the business school's intranet, meaning people from other faculties can't access them. So we're still trying to sort that out. So the resources on the blog should be accessible, but maybe there's still a glitch there. Interesting, a lot of these things, where do we get help to test students on oral presentations? Thinking of the graduate profile project and all the capabilities we're hoping to develop and how staff are trying to seek support on doing these things, that really impacts me as a challenge because we don't have a huge team of people to provide this sort of support, and the university is moving that sort of thing more central. So there's going to be a transition period, and these are questions we've got to ask ourselves, but there will be resources. We're trying to provide things like samples of rubrics and advice on how to teach and assess different things as we go forward. Where's Wally? I don't know. VR technologies, that's an interesting one as well. Where does technical support sit for staff? We used to have some people who were wonderful people providing that sort of support within our unit, and that's been reduced. The idea is the university will provide more support centrally, which could be great because you get sharing of resources and all of that, but they also need to resource that service heavily. So again, these are interesting challenges we face. Any other questions there? Or is that it?
Yeah. Pretty much it, but I think we're running out of time.
Okay, now we're out of time. Thank you so much. Welcome to Learn, Do, Share. I hope you really enjoy the day. And Susan's our first speaker. Yeah.